that I was looking at through the window who were dressed in scrubs and had face masks. I've been texting with one of them who was able to sign his phone number to me. He is one of the patients inside. And from what he's telling me, there are 5 to 6 staff members inside this Care Now clinic that have been quarantined. There are a few patients in the clinic. This patient tells me that he was in the waiting room at the same time as a patient who's possibly exhibiting symptoms of Ebola. Says the man, he confirms to me it was a man that showed up with those symptoms, and he was with his wife, appeared to be flushed and was slouched, but was walking. And the bus that you're seeing that's outside the Care Now clinic, that bus apparently is here to take the patients that are inside this clinic to a local hospital. Right now it's unclear what hospital they will be taken to or what type of contact some of these folks in the waiting room had with this patient. But again, what they're telling me was the patient showed up with his wife, appeared to be flushed, was slouched, but was able to walk around the clinic. Again, there are 5 to 6 staff members inside this clinic that are quarantined after this whole situation unfolded, Brian.
As we watch this live picture, Ray, of this ambulance, which appears to be going to Texas Health Presbyterian, talk to us about the scene there at the clinic when these Frisco first responders showed up and they suited up in those hazmat suits.
Well, from what we've been told, they suited up in the hazmat suits, had plastic wrap to fill the ambulance that was taking that passenger to a Dallas hospital. In fact, I can tell you, I still see the plastic wrap on the ground here at the scene. The clinic has been blocked off by firefighters and police. They have been in huddles. We did see some staff members who had clipboards walking into the clinic with firefighters. There's a bus here on the scene that I'm being told will transport patients that were in the clinic at the same time as this patient to a local hospital. Right now, things appear to be calm as far as the scene. You're not seeing anyone in hazmat suits going in and out of the clinic. We can only assume that's because they're already inside the clinic. There are firefighters standing out here making sure that everyone stays away. I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 10 cars that are here parked outside the clinic. One of them appears to be that of the patient. It's wrapped in red tape that says danger. It's a gray SUV. It's parked in the corner of the parking lot. But again, police are blocking access to the parking lot of this clinic, which is surrounded, by the way, by several businesses, including a bank and a gas station.
Okay, and we are again watching this ambulance with this person pull into Presbyterian Hospital. It appears they're going to a back entrance. It's hard to tell if they're going to the emergency entrance or not. But again, they are at Presbyterian Hospital. Again, where all of the CDC experts have been for the last week and a half as this hospital treated patient Thomas Duncan, the first patient diagnosed with Ebola in the United States, who passed away this morning shortly before 8 a.m. And the latest information we're getting is that the person in this ambulance is a Dallas County Sheriff's deputy, a sergeant, who was among those deputies that served the family in quarantine, the family related to the Duncan case. And that is why this person has been rushed to the hospital out of an abundance of caution.
And here you see the ambulance here pulling into the ER area. You see some cameras have already been set up there. If you think back, Christy, to early last week when these people were going in and out of that apartment, you recall they did not have protection on at that point. They were not in hazmat suits. So that obviously would raise some concern among those folks. But once again, what you're watching here is an abundance of caution.
Exactly.
We do not know that this is a case of Ebola. This person showed up at the Care Now clinic there in Frisco saying that they thought they were experiencing Ebola-like symptoms, and this person told the staff there that they had had contact with Thomas Duncan.
And again, what we've heard from the experts all along is that Ebola is not transmitted so easily, that it's only transmitted with direct contact with an infected person's bodily fluids, which would not have included anyone who just stepped into the apartment. But of course, again, all the people who lived in that apartment are now being quarantined. And again, this case has led to this person, this man, being rushed to the hospital for the same reason.
And undoubtedly, they will go ahead and test him now for the Ebola virus, and that takes time. So we may not know right away whether or not this is Ebola.
And I think we heard last week when they tested Thomas Duncan that that test was done perhaps in Austin. And this is just me trying to remember exactly what went on, but again, it took a few hours before they got the results back. I don't know if that's changed in the last week or so. But what we do know now is that all of the hospitals in Dallas-Fort Worth are ready for any such possibility.
This has been a very busy day, obviously, on this story, because as you mentioned, Christy, Thomas Duncan sadly passed away this morning. We're expecting a news conference any minute now from the CDC updating us on that part of the story. And then at 3:30 this afternoon, we're expecting a news conference from the city of Frisco about the situation that you're watching unfold here. We will bring all of that to you live, so keep it right here on NBC5, and you can always follow along on NBCDFW.com and also on social media, on Twitter and Facebook.
And again, we are looking at a live picture of an ambulance that just came from Frisco to bring a patient to Presbyterian Hospital. And this patient had some symptoms that worried the staff members there. And this person also mentioned contact, some kind of contact with Ebola patient Thomas Duncan. But what we've heard is that it's a deputy who may have gone to that apartment afterwards. And that's the contact we're talking about.
Frisco seemed to know exactly what they were doing. They responded very quickly to this Care Now clinic. We watched from Chopper 5 as they deployed a number of resources. We saw them line the interior of this ambulance with plastic, obviously, to protect it. And then we saw at least 2 people suit up in those hazmat suits to go into that Care Now clinic and bring that patient into the ambulance. And now you see there on the right-hand side of your screen that live picture of that ambulance sitting there at Presbyterian Hospital.
And Ray, are you still on the phone with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so you said that there's not a lot of people there. No one looks panicked or overly frightened there.
No, what you could see was you saw some patients who were wrapped up in protective gear. They had on their face masks. They were in scrubs. They had some goggles on. And I've been texting with one of those patients who tells me there's 5 to 6 staff members that are quarantined inside the clinic, that there were some patients in the waiting room with this patient who was exhibiting some sort of symptoms. That man appeared to be flushed. He was slouched, but he was walking, that he was taken to another room, and then soon after, the scene unfolded here. Again, these folks are being taken to a local hospital is what this patient is telling me, and for that reason, if you see a shot of this area, you can see that there's a bus waiting for them, and I can tell you that the photographers are all stationed at the side here of the clinic, which to me indicates that these folks might be coming out one of the doors. There's a side door that I'm staring at right now. So these patients are being...
Okay, that's NBC5's Ray Villeta. We just lost his connection. He's there in Frisco watching the Care Now where this patient first presented. And we understand that they are planning to take the other staffers and patients who were in the clinic at the time, possibly loading onto this bus, and will go to another hospital to be tested or watched. That's not clear exactly what's going to happen. But we were watching, right now this is a live shot of the Frisco parking lot, but the ambulance with the patient is at Dallas Presbyterian Hospital. Now the hospital that knows how to treat an Ebola patient, or has experience doing it, rather.
That's where all the experts are right now. I think we've reestablished our connection with Ray as we look at this live picture here from Frisco. Ray, do we know for sure that these patients are being taken somewhere else?
That is according to a patient who was able to sign to me his phone number through a window and that I've been texting with. He told me the patients that were in the waiting room with this man will be taken to a local hospital, and that staff, about 5 to 6 members of the staff, are quarantined at this moment. That is what the patient is telling me. And I can tell you that from seeing him through the window, he was in protective gear from head to toe. He had on a face mask, he had on scrubs, and so it seems like they're taking all the precautions necessary within the clinic. And again, we are waiting here. We're looking at the side. I'm looking at the side of the clinic where there's a side door where it appears perhaps these folks may be coming out. Police have told us to kind of back off this area, so it appears some movement could be taking place here, but that's what we're waiting to see what happens. But again, that's according to a patient inside the clinic who tells me they will be taken to a hospital to be evaluated.
And Ray, did it take a long time for them to get everything set up to transport the patient? It seems like it took a while for them just to get the ambulance ready and to get everybody ready.
It seems that way, but I can tell you they've mobilized pretty quickly. I mean, if you're looking at the scene, this area has been blocked off completely.
Okay. All right, Ray, I've got to interrupt you.